Guys, we're back for another exciting episode of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play presented by Eat Sleep Golf. And tonight's guest is going to be a lot of fun for a couple of reasons. One, because I've had the chance to meet him in the past and I've stayed in close contact with him, and he's gone from golf course to, well, we'll talk about it, really fun golf entertainment venue at Topgolf Las Vegas, and he's back to the course that he was before he went to Topgolf. But we'll talk about that whole journey this evening. I hope Brandon Stooksbury is watching. I know it's a little bit later on the East Coast, but Brandon, if you're not watching, I'll make sure that you get this link, and I will make sure that everyone watching gets this link. It'll be posted to the golf community on Google+, Facebook, Twitter, all those fun places. But tonight's guest is somebody that, and I remember the last, and actually we haven't hung out necessarily, but the last time that I saw you was your first run at TPC Las Vegas, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more about your role at TPC and kind of, you left, you came back, what that was like, and just your whole journey, so to speak. So I got a whole bunch of questions for you, but I'm just excited to have you. I've got Matt Henderson from TPC Las Vegas. Matt, welcome to the Wednesday Match Play, man.
Hey, Ricky, it's good to be on.
So let's just start there, the journey. What happened? I know you had some stuff. You played. Did you play in college? I don't know if you played in college, but talk about just kind of your journey. You're not that old, you're younger than me, so making me feel like an old man over here, but just talk about your journey from the beginning and how you knew you wanted to work in the golf business and how you got to TPC Las Vegas.
Yeah, the journey, I grew up in a small town in Wyoming, so just about 100 miles north of Denver, and then became a pretty good junior player, played in college for a semester, and it really wasn't the right fit for me. I've always kind of known I wanted to be in the golf business. I started working in the golf business when I was 14 at a Muni, just, picking up golf balls so I could play golf. And it just went from there. So I ended up coming down to Las Vegas because they had the PGM program. It was brand new at the time. So I was one of the first classes that went through the one at UNLV. And then ended up getting on board with Dave Pells. And I worked with Dave, traveled with Dave for 3 years. And then I got an opportunity to come back out to TPC Las Vegas. And so I was at TPC Las Vegas for almost 6 years. And then that's when the journey kind of started. Yeah, I got an opportunity to get into college coaching. And so I went out to the University of Tennessee. So Brandon Stooksbury's alma mater there, Big Orange, and they're playing pretty good football right now. I kind of missed out on that, but so that was a interesting experience, to say the least. And so nothing negative, a lot of positive things. I don't know if it was necessarily the fit for me, but then came back out to Las Vegas, and then that's where the Topgolf venture started. But TPC Las Vegas is home for me, so that's back out there. So we can talk about that and what I do out there, but it's really home.
Well, that's a good segue, and to your point about the college football thing, I don't follow college football at all. Golf is the only sport that I play, and it's the only sport that I follow. But I know that they're playing good football because I listen to Dave Ramsey, and he talks about them on pretty much every show that he does. So he's a big fan. So he's definitely keeping me in the loop as it relates to their football team. So now talking about what you do. What do you do? I know what you do, but the people at home might not. So what is your daily role, and what does a day in the life look like for you at TPC?
Well, so my title is Director of Instruction. So I handle all instructional duties at the property. It's actually the first time that title has ever been bestowed to someone at that respective property. It opened up in 1996. So 2016 is actually the 20th anniversary. And so first time I've ever had a director of instruction. There has been, Brandon served as the head instructor at the Tour Academy there. The Tour Academy is gone now. I served as the head instructor at the Tour Academy while I was there. And so the Tour Academy is out and serving as the director of instruction. So day to day is teach the members, teach resort guests, bring in any outside lessons I can possibly scramble to get in, and that's pretty much it. So, I write articles, make instructional videos, and teach lessons, and That's the day to day.
That's really cool. So walk me through that first lesson. Let's say I've had and Dan Attaway is my golf pro, and we've had literally one lesson, so to speak. We have a lot of text message conversations, and he keeps me calm on the golf course whenever I'm not hitting the ball as well as I probably should. But walk me through that first lesson. I book a lesson. I'm one of those outside guys that lives down the street and has never taken a lesson before with you. What's that first lesson look like, and how is it going to be for the hour that we have together?
All right, so first lesson, I mean, let's talk one-off. You know, you're going to have one lesson. You're coming there, you got a driver problem, something like that. The first piece is always going to be information gathering. You know, so put you on the launch monitor, understand what club head's doing, get your information as to what the missed hit's been in the past. What does the golf ball do? It's always about the golf ball, right? Where's the ball starting? Where's it ending? How is it getting into, you know, how is it moving in between those two spots? And then get the data to back it up. So launch monitor video, that's the first 10 to 15 minutes of it. The middle piece is going to be error correction. And then the end piece is putting it all together and be like, okay, this is the game plan. This is the practice plan based off of this. And these are the expectations. And so that's the can lesson.
Okay. That's my lesson with my lesson, I'm going to call it a lesson with quotes, because we were on the range for about 3 hours, was more of just him watching me hit the ball and tell me how do this, not that. And literally in that entire 3 hours, I moved forward about 2, maybe 3 inches, and it changed my ball flight. It changed my yardage just a little bit and all kinds of things. Now, you mentioned the driver, and I'm about ready to break mine into 2 pieces. You're a member of Team Callaway, as am I, with the woods in my bag. I've got the double black diamond, and it's fairly new. It's only been in my bag for about, 2 months, 14, 15 rounds. And the miss is right. And I'm talking starts right, stays right, ends right. And then my fix is this, a duck hook, because I try to swing fast to not hit it right, and I duck hook it. And I did put it into the draw bias last week. It helped a little. I only had 1 duck hook. But that all being said, based on the little that you know, I'm taking information from Twitter and I'm taking information from Dan. What's the fix? Is there one? I mean, I've heard as far as get a new driver. So what do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. So you're talking low spinning head. The big thing, I mean, it sounds like a path. It sounds like a path correction. So, I mean, huge push, ball starts right, stays right. So face is going to be square to path, open to target line. So it's staying out there. And if the path is severe enough, so if we're talking numbers like in TrackMan, so if it's like +8, +9, something way out there. If the face is closing it all to that, and you catch it on the toe, there's your zinger way left. There's the quick hook. So, I mean, in my mind, just hearing that, and it's reducing path and kind of edging it down a little bit. That way, if you do catch it on the toe, you know, the spin axis isn't going to tilt so hard and go so hard left, and so you can kind of manage path and then manage miss hit a little bit more.
Okay. Dan recommended standing back a little bit. So that 3 inches that I moved forward,
so,
standing back a little bit.
Stuff like that, yeah, without seeing you swing and just talking about club head movement. Yeah, so, you know, what we would do with the body to make that club head movement happen, that's where the visuals work, right?
Yeah. Okay. I don't have a video of my swing, because my swing's probably so bad I don't want to see it on video. But now you mentioned Brandon, and Brandon is a good friend of mine, and I've known him for many, many years, and I'm excited that you had the opportunity to work with him. But I'm sure there's a story somewhere that you have of your time with Brandon that he may or may not have told, or something that is a little, something that you only know by working with him. So tell me a quick story about your time with Brandon Stooksbury.
I think the interesting one, especially for people that know us now, and I mean, it's a little personal, but when we first met, we did not get along at all. So I think that might be the kind of the funniest one is, I mean, we were kind of paired together, and we were forced to work together at the same facility. And I mean, we just didn't get along. And so the first few months were kind of awkward, and then we really just kind of had it out. And then after that, honestly, it was a smooth ride. And we ended up getting along. And I mean, I think we both learned from each other. I think I had to learn by far more. But, you know, we were able to kind of piggyback and do some pretty good things out in Las Vegas after that. But I think that's the fun.
I was teeing up in my head of how I was going to say this, that you were actually the reason why he moved to Georgia. I'm totally kidding.
That's right. Maybe we didn't get along as well as I thought I did. And that was it.
Do you guys stay in touch? I mean, do you talk to him still? Or
We do. Yeah. I talk to him at least once a month. I mean, I talked to him last week, and, you know, sometimes it's personal stuff, and then other times it's, last week we were just talking about launch monitors, and he's buying a new launch monitor, and I'm buying a new launch monitor, and so it's kind of just, you know, talking shop on that.
Talking shop, I like that. That's cool. So the guys at Eat Sleep Golf always send in a ton of good questions, and they've got a bunch tonight. I don't know if in a half an hour we can get through them all, but this one is a really good one, and it's something that, because of what Troon is doing with the Troon Junior Club and growing the game of golf and making it a responsibility to grow the game of golf. You do a lot with junior golf, and they asked, the junior program that you do looks fantastic. I love that the first lesson is always free for juniors. Can you talk a little bit more about the junior clinics and the way that you're helping kids get excited about golf?
Yeah, so, you know, there's some summer clinics, but I think the biggest one is the after school program, and it's just getting kids in after school, different age groups. You know, there's a very relaxed kind of skill level entry into it. So, you know, a lot of kind of entry level juniors and tons of fundamental movement skill stuff. So if you've ever seen the TPI stuff, you know, the throwing balls and, you know, running through noodles and, you know, all that stuff. So there's a lot of non-golf thing, or what we perceive as non-golf things, air quotes, kind of going on in it. And, you know, what that stuff does is it gets them super energized, and it's like, hey, it's pretty fun to go out to the golf course. And, you know, it's not just line instruction, especially for the younger kids. It's not just line instruction and yelling at them and, you know, looking at perfect golf swings and all that stuff. It's getting them moving like athletes, getting them prepared to make athletic motions, and then making them have fun. And then now that's the biggest thing for those younger age groups is it has to be fun to go to the golf course. You know, as soon as they relate the golf course with fun, now it's a completely different experience for when they get up into the 12 to 16 bracket, when it's a little bit more of a skill development, you know, like what you and I would think of as golf instruction. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's the cool part.
That's really cool. Well, good for you for doing that. And I think that plays a lot into this next question. So you were a Golf Digest top 40 under 40 in 2013, and you're going to be under 40 for quite a while. But what does that accolade mean to you? And does that serve as kind of a unique selling proposition for you? And have you seen success because of that accolade? And kind of talk a little bit more about what that means to you of being on that list.
Yeah. So the Golf Digest list, I think that was a big, so when that happened in 2013, it was a big thing for me. I mean, it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And it was something when I started kind of teaching out, and, you know, I don't know if every teacher really sets off that way, but when I started teaching, I was really interested in things like that. I wanted to know how to do it, what the process was to do it. And so when you start down that road, and it happens, it's, you know, it was kind of surreal, and I think it took a really long time to actually sink in. But, you know, with anything, I think it's nice to have the respect from your peers in the community, in your region, that are voting on that list. I think that's the biggest thing that kind of comes through is like, okay, so there's other teachers that, you know, they like the message that I'm putting out, and they think that I also have good information. I think that's the biggest thing for it. In terms of what it does for a student base, I'm not sure if other people even know those lists exist. But it's fun I think it's good material for teachers to have to, you know, talk about anyway, right?
Very cool. So you talk about being a writer. You're a blogger. I'm a blogger. I love blogging. I published a post last night. How often are you publishing content, and what types of content are you looking to publish? Obviously instructional stuff, but are you looking for other just golf related stuff? And kind of talk a little bit about your life as a blogger.
Yeah, so I've written articles for a while now. I've had small magazine articles, nothing like in a big golf digest, but small golf tips magazines, regional golf tips magazines, and so items like that. A lot of local newspaper stuff, and so the blog is a good thing for me because it's just a forum that I can constantly kind of spew information into. And so, my goal with it is I like to bring stuff to the table that I don't see in other publications or I don't see coming out from other instructors. So I kind of like to choose topics that I think are going to be really different. So that's what I try to do with it. But it's a fickle thing, that the golf instruction article. So I don't really sway out of it too much. I don't go into industry items. It's mostly just golf instruction, which
do what you're good at and do it well. And you have, and your website is awesome, by the way. I mean, it's very well done. I love the logo, and it's a very sleek, clean, professionally done website. So
I appreciate that. As you know, it's always a long process to get those things out. So, but yeah, they did a good job on it, and color scheme, all that. Logo looks really nice. So,
So you live in Las Vegas. I mean, I come to Vegas once a year. I'm really, really big into electronic dance music, so I come for the dance music. Now, being there, living a short distance away, do you go to the Strip at all, if at all? I mean, is that something you do on a Friday night and go to downtown?
I mean, so there's two things. So I love UNLV basketball. As far as athletic events go, that's my number one. So the Thomas and Mack Center is only like a mile from the Strip. So we go to UNLV basketball games in season. And then if we get tickets to something else, like concerts, anything like that, or a show, we'll go. Generally, I don't ever pay for them, but if we get comp tickets or something, right, we're there. But that's about it, so honestly, I mean, that might happen twice a year. And then outside of UNLV basketball games, I pretty much just stay up in Summerlin. It's kind of our little neck of the woods up here.
Now, you talk about shows, and don't laugh when I say this, but the Backstreet Boys are going to be doing a residency. And if you happen to hear of tickets, I would leave now to see those guys live. I'm only less than 4 hours away. So, I mean, not that we're going to go together necessarily, but I would love to see them. So if you have a line on tickets, keep me in the conversation.
Tell you what, you can definitely have mine.
What's funny though about that, when I say that, is I probably would know every word to every song for the entire evening. I'm not necessarily proud of that, but it's just they've got a special place, and I'm not afraid to admit it. So now I've played 6 holes at TPC Las Vegas, and I played 6 holes because I have never been that cold in the desert before. We quit after 6 because I was freezing. So I don't know past the first 6 what the other holes look like. But what's your favorite hole on the golf course? And am I missing something? Because obviously, I mean, after 6, there's got to be more to the golf course than that.
Honestly, the back nine's incredible. It really is.
Right, of course it is.
Yeah. So 10 is kind of the signature hole. It's what's on the scorecard and all that. And it kind of really starts you in the back nine. And the back nine just wraps around a canyon. And then you're west facing most of the time. So you're facing the Red Rock, the Spring Mountain Range and Red Rock National Park. And so you kind of have Red Rock National Park right in your face the entire time. And it really opens up. The front nine is, I don't want to say park style on the front nine because it's definitely not, right? But it kind of has that feel to it. And then the back nine, it's open up. It's all around a huge ravine, and you're heading right into the Spring Mountain Range. And so, I mean, favorite hole would probably be 15, big par 5. I mean, it's a 3-shotter for me. I've seen people hit it in 2. I can't get there in 2, but it's got canyon and play all down the right side. So you can hit all 3 golf shots into a ravine if you have the opportunity to.
So now I'm mad that I only played 6 holes. So the next time that I'm in Vegas when it's not cold, you and I are playing 18 holes because I got to see this back nine. Like, I mean, I'd almost not boring is not the word for it, but based on how you just explained the back nine, the front nine was boring because the back nine sounds like it's
I think the front nine. I mean, the front nine has some good holes to it, but I mean, to me, it's kind of just there. And then the back nine is where it gets. I mean, there's some difficult holes on the back nine, and so I mean, it really picks up if you catch it in the wrong wind. Or the right wind, depending on how you look at it. I mean, it can get super, super difficult.
Awesome. Well, I need to see all 18 holes. Brandon, that's partly your fault for making us play when it was so cold. So it's not all on me. Yes, I know it was cold. I didn't realize it got that cold in Vegas. And I'm like, and granted, it's a little elevated too. So
it's a little elevated. I mean, it's like 2,100 feet, and then but it's still weird. Like, I mean, I grew up in the Wyoming, Colorado area, and I've lived in cold weather areas, and 45 degrees here with 15 miles per hour wind is, I think it's colder than 20 degrees is in Colorado. Like, it's
I am with you.
It's a weird, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Yes, I am with you. The dry heat thing it's so real. So now TPC Las Vegas. I mean, TPC is a collection of facilities all over the place. I mean, we've got one right here in Scottsdale. TPC Boston. The list goes on. What does it mean to be a TPC course? I mean, talk a little bit about what that means, and both to the course itself as a whole, but then to you as an instructor at a TPC facility.
Yeah. So I mean, as a whole, I think anybody who's ever been to a TPC kind of experiences the same thing. I know the first TPC that I was ever at was actually TPC Scottsdale. And I think I was like 11 or 12 years old. And I remember walking through the gates and it was just like, oh my goodness, there's a tour event here, and it was this huge sensation. And there's always this, the entire time you were there, it was just this feeling of, there's this kind of mystique around it. And honestly, every TPC I've had the pleasure of being at most of them now. They all kind of have that feel of, hey, there's quality golf here. There's been tour events here. There's tour players here. So it always has that feel to it. And so even being there day in, day out, it still has that feel of, this is a pretty special place. So now to teach at one, I think is an honor, and from especially, leaving TPC Las Vegas, and then, having the chance to come back. But leaving it was, when you're telling people your background, and it's like, okay, these are the places I've worked, and this is what I've done. Everybody's like, oh, you were at TPC. It's always kind of sticks out a little bit. So when you come back, it's an honor to be able to teach at one, for sure.
That's really cool. Have you played TPC Scottsdale?
I have, yeah. I haven't, not since the renovation that they did.
I haven't either. And I gotta tell you, I've played them both, and I think the Champions course is the better layout of the two, in my opinion. But again, I haven't played it since the redo.
I've heard that, and then I can say the same thing about Sawgrass. I played both Sawgrasses, and so they have the Valley course or the Dye course, and then they have the Stadium course. And honestly, that Valley course down at TPC Sawgrass is a difficult golf course. Like, it's the past couple of years, the Web Championship has been down there. We played a college event there, and then I got to play it before that. But it's a difficult golf course, and so it kind of always gets overlooked because of, obviously, the Players Championship. But yeah, so same thing down there.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've played a ton of golf courses. I mean, obviously you've played some TPC tracks, but this is a two-part question. What is the best golf course you've ever played? And it could be a private course. And then the second part of this question is, what is the one course that is publicly accessible that you cannot wait to play that's at the top of your bucket list?
That's a tough question. I've been pretty spoiled with golf, especially traveling with Pels, I mean, we got to play everything. I think the coolest. I'm a big Hogan guy. I was always a really big historic, into golf history growing up. So I think the coolest experience / maybe the best course that I've played. Those two things last together. Maybe Oakland Hills. We played Oakland Hills about 2 days before a British Open qualifier that was up there, and so the rough was grown out, and greens were going. It was pretty cool. And then so we got the guest we went out there with. His name was Steve Smith. He took us, and we got to eat dinner in the men's grill afterwards. And so we were just sitting on 17T, which is a par 3, and hitting these approach shots into it. And then you go back to the men's grill, and there's a picture of Hogan kind of leaning on an iron on 17T when he won the U.S. Open there. And it's right above the fireplace, and we were just sitting there having some soup or whatnot. And I mean, it was a pretty cool experience. So that would be that. Publicly accessible, boy.
Mm-hmm.
People
answer this with like a gusto. Like, that's not fair.
Yeah,
that's not.
If it was private, I'd say Marion. I have not gotten that one. Public, honestly, I want to go play Bandon. I haven't gotten up to Bandon yet, so that would be the trip that I'd really want to do, is the Bandon trip.
Okay, I dig that. A couple of guys in the office have done it, and then the guys that have played there just got back. I think they were at Whistling Straits. I feel like I heard that just in around the office in the last couple of days. So I think they just got back from there. But they all do the Bandon thing. Like they'll play like 36 or more 3 or 4 days in a row, and just I want to enjoy it. Like when I go, I want to play 18 and then have a cigar. Like, and when it's a golf trip, I'm going to Norway next year, and it's like I'm not taking my clubs because it's at the end of a trip. But it's like I don't want to play 36. I just want to play 18, take it all in, and it's like scuba diving, for example. I want to dive once and be done. Like I'm like people that go diving, they'll dive 3 or 4 days in a row, and I'm just like one day of diving. So you talk about launch monitors. What technology are you using with your students, and do you use one type of technology more than another? And just kind of talk about the technologies that you're using at TPC.
Yeah, well, at TPC right now, so we're in the process. We've had a flight scope in the past. We have video, so we have super quality video. Flight scope in the past, and that's the $1 million question right now. Is I don't know what the monitor is going to be that we're going to bring in. I've got so many things rattling in my head. There's pros and cons to all of them, and then I'd like to have a SAM in. I've had a SAM Putt Lab for the last 2 years. I'd like to bring one in, and then like a pressure plate or a force plate. That I think that's a big thing for how I teach. So bringing that all in the next kind of recent months.
Okay, very cool. So I've seen golf lessons priced $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $250 an hour. Like, one, what is your price and rate per hour? And then do you set those rates, or does TPC have a little bit of say in that?
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. I was able to set my rates. And I set my rates for the way they are for a couple reasons. So it's the base rate, the walking up is $150 an hour. And so for the area, I would actually say that's a fairly cheap price, because there's some guys across the street that would charge more. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like the product that we're offering is less of a quality than a higher price. But I think there's a different market that we're kind of after. So the market that I'm after is really what that price rate is set at, is to go out and kind of nab that respective clientele. And then also, the junior rates are very, very respectable in the area. So, in comparison to, a course kind of down the road, I mean, we're really only about $10 to $20 a month different in programs, but they're on mats, and their student teacher ratio is, I don't even know. I mean, it's a lot. And so there's kids everywhere around us. We're 100% on grass. It's a very small student teacher ratio, and then really high level instruction. It just an uptick more. So the prices are set pretty fairly. It's to get people in the door and get the word out.
Good for you. And that rate, I mean, even here in Scottsdale, that rate's, I mean, I would say, I don't want to use the word affordable, but it is. I mean, especially, and I know the area of where the golf course is in Vegas. I mean, that is a higher end area, similar to Scottsdale. And like I said, I've seen guys. I mean, I've seen $300 an hour. I mean, it's
right.
What's the difference? Like, what more could a $300 an hour instructor offer than a $50 instructor?
I think that's again, it's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I think you can up the rate based on technology you're offering, and then based on years of experience, and then based on essentially how busy your book is. And so if you're not full and you're sitting there with your twiddling your thumbs, you're probably charging too much for the product you're offering, respectfully, right? And so I think there's always a happy medium in there to where you can kind of keep yourself pretty busy and full, while offering as quality of product as you can make it. And I think that's where the differentiation rate comes. But I mean, to be honest with you, there's super amazing teachers they're really good, and I mean they're using almost no technology, and they don't have anything fancy. It's not like a fancy building. There's not like a learning center. It's them leaning on a 5-iron out on a tee, and I mean they're charging $350 an hour, but they're super busy so they can get it. And then there's guys that have the full gamut of learning center and force plates and TrackMan and all this other stuff, and it's an expensive product, and there's nothing to do. So, and there's everywhere in between in the industry.
So, knowing that I work for Troon, be careful how you answer this, but have you played Aliante Golf Club in North Las Vegas? I've not played it yet, and I feel like I need to. So I think I need to play on a golf weekend, or come play TPC and see the back nine and go play Aliante. But what's that course like? I have no idea past the reviews that I've heard, and the team there is awesome to work with. But talk a little bit about that if you had the chance to play there.
Yeah, I played it, gosh, it would have to be 2010 now, so it's been a while. I played it in a chapter event, it's on a PGA event out, and I've never seen it before, but went and teed it up in a tournament. So, and I think the one problem with that round is it was blowing like 30 or 40 miles per hour, and so I think I'm a little bit jaded, but I don't remember it being, I think it was a pretty decent layout. Everybody says pretty good things around it in the valley. And then I know I just met the new HP out there at the semi-annual meeting in May for the chapter, and I mean he was a super guy. So
awesome, good stuff. Yeah, I need to stop making excuses to not take my clubs to Vegas and stop worrying about the DJ that I'm going to see and play Aliante and finish my round at TPC. So the college prep course is something that I haven't seen offered at too many facilities, and this is me reading an Eat Sleep Golf question. So can you talk about that program? And I don't know anything about this program myself, so and how it differs from a traditional and typical instructional program.
Yeah, so the college prep program is something that it really has the potential to grow, I mean, really exponentially, in how we're setting off with it. So it's not just me involved in it. It's two other people in town. And so what it would be is it would be a kind of a 3-prong system of you come to TPC Las Vegas and myself for golf instruction and skill development in the game of golf. And then we're going to go somewhere else and we're going to work on, our body. So physical fitness, There's a TPI guy in town, and he's one of the best in the country. So we send him to him, and then the third piece is a mental piece. So there's a mental expert in town. He has all sorts of the certifications needed. He works at IMG Academy in the summers, and so it is just a program where they can hit everything. And then on top of that, it's nice being the former college coach, because there's a lot of information that we're able to get to parents about the process of recruiting, what to expect, what not to expect, the timelines to things, how to contact, how not to contact, all that stuff. So all that information is wrapped up and delivered to parents and students in seminar format. And then it's all part of the program. So it's a pretty neat program.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I didn't know that existed, and I want to see more of that. Like, I feel like I've never heard of a college prep program like that. So I'm glad that you're doing that, that you're involved in that. And that's cool that it does separate it in three that's the fitness piece is such an important, especially, look at tour guys and Tiger and Rory and these guys that are just obsessed with fitness. And it is such an important part of the game. That's cool that that's one of the components.
That's right.
So if you could change one rule in the game of golf, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Because there's probably a lot of them that you might think of changing.
Yeah, I think some of the ones that needed to be changed kind of have. I think anything to do with, signing a scorecard incorrectly, anything like that. Especially being in the college ranks and then around junior golfers a lot. That whole thing of, oh, you didn't sign your scorecard, or you signed for a wrong. It can be super frustrating. You can ruin a whole tournament. You can ruin a lot of things just based on simple things like that. So I think I'd kind of err toward process rules like that instead of maybe game that play items.
I dig that. So I told you that before we went live, this half an hour would fly by, and we're already over time, but I got one more question, then we're going to jump into the back nine, which is just 9 fun, random golf-specific questions for you, not as much about you and TPC. But I'm curious, because when I think of golf lessons, like when Dan and I did a lesson, we weren't on the course. We were on the range and on the putting green and in the bunkers and all that. Do you do strictly on-the-range lessons, or do you do playing lessons, and kind of what's the differentiation, and kind of like talk me through that. Like, when am I going to get to the course? Because I would much rather play than practice. I like to warm up and hit balls before I play, but I'm never going to just go hit balls and go home.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that's a good question for people to hear because, but yes, there is playing lessons. So there's on-course lessons. And then on the tee, short game facility, different arenas. I think the really big difference between the playing lesson is I think a lot of times people expect skill changes or I guess mechanical changes. We're going to make golf swing changes out on the golf course, and the form just doesn't really lend itself to that. Maybe there's a pace of play issue, there's people behind you, whatever, it just doesn't really lend itself to that. So that's what the tee's for. The golf course we use for anything to do with management, movement of golf ball, target selection. There's all sorts of things that go into the strategy and how to play golf. That's what that forum's for. But that's a biggie. A lot of times people sign up for a playing lesson and it's not the right fit for them.
Okay, I dig that. All right. Well, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome, and I am going to make it a very important #1 priority that when I come back, and unfortunately I'm probably going to be back when it's cold, but next summer when I'm back in Vegas, I'll make sure that we tee it up and I finish that 18 hole. Now, if you wanted to take me to 17, we start there, that would kind of be funny. Brandon, if that happens, you're coming out to join us to finish that round. So the back nine, just 9 fun random questions. You ready?
Yeah.
What is your least favorite hole at TPC? Not your favorite, your least favorite.
I'd say 14. Just
a short
par. Yeah, it's got a canyon in front of it. It's just a goofy tee shot.
Okay, I dig that. What other courses in Sin City do you like? I mean, besides TPC and besides Aliante, your second favorite course, wink, wink. What other courses in the area do you like?
Dragon Ridge has always been a really good one for me. I mean, I don't think anybody ever knows really about it, but I like Dragon Ridge quite a bit. I'm a big Pete Dye fan, so I like the Paiute courses. All three of them are really good.
That might be the first time in recorded history that somebody said, I'm a Pete Dye fan. Because it's always...
It's the railroad ties. They get you.
Yes, they do. Have you ever been to Topgolf since you've left Topgolf? Like Friday night, hey, we're taking the family to Topgolf. Do you go back and do you still have a good relationship with them, or do you stay close?
I don't even know if I've been within 5 square miles of one.
That's awesome. Do you miss it though? I mean, that had to have been such a different environment. I mean, going from giving lessons on the range to giving lessons under neon lights and dance music.
Yeah, that's it. So you're screaming at people. It was like, do this. It was an experience. It was definitely a life experience. There were some interesting moments.
We'll just leave it at that. Topgolf, filled with interesting moments. What TPC courses are on the list that you haven't visited and or played that you'd like to?
That's a really good question. I've been to Craig Ranch, TPC Craig Ranch. We taught a clinic there. It was really weird. We flew in that morning taught like a 3-hour clinic, and then flew right back out. So, but the golf course actually looked really good. So to be honest with you, I'd really like to go play that one. And then I've always wanted to play Deer Run too, but I don't know how to get out there. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But I've always wanted to play Deer Run.
Okay. It's the same time zone. This doesn't happen very often where the guest is on the same time zone. It's usually like 10:30 at night. We're on the East Coast, but it's almost time for a drink. I've already finished one, but let's have a drink. What are you ordering?
I guess just water. I got pretty straight-laced.
Whoa. Yeah. Calm down. Maybe a lime. Maybe throw a lemon in there.
I guess you could do like club soda or something.
There you go. I'm assuming you have, but have you ever had an ace? And if so, how many?
I never have. It's really weird. I never have. I know people that have had like 20. I'm at 0.
I don't want to say this, but good. Take that. I haven't got one either. That's not fair. I don't like the guy. Not even that long ago, we had a guest on the Wednesday match play. He had 15, and I'm like, yeah. It was last week actually. Brian Cooper he was on the big break, and he's getting ready to go to PGA Tour Champions Q School. Like, how cool is that? He just won the Arizona Open. Was on the big break. He was on the big break NFL, and he's had 15 aces. And I'm like, give me one, guy. You can share. Yeah. Spread the wealth.
It's weird. You have it bounce off of things and all that a lot, and then I'm kind of at the point now that if it's not in competition, I really just don't even care about it. It has to be, yeah.
Speaking of the Arizona Open, Michael Hopper, and you have no reason to know who he is, but he is a pro here at Lookout Mountain in the Valley, and he got one during the Arizona Open on a hole that is a very short, manageable par 3 that I made a 9 on. And I'd rather not talk about the 9, just the fact that he's 8 strokes ahead of me on that hole in specific. Anyway, I have to assume you're playing a Callaway golf ball, but what ball are you playing?
The Chrome Soft.
The new Chrome Soft or the original Chrome Soft? Because the new Chrome Soft is dang good.
It is. That's the one. It is. It's a good golf ball. It legitimately is, yeah.
It's one step closer and almost as good as the Pro V1. I need a little bit more check around the greens because the Pro V1 for me hits, checks, and stops, and that one runs out just a little bit. If it gets that stop, I'm going to replace the Pro V1. So he's above me, and he's been watching the entire evening, and I'm very cautious to ask this, but be cautious on how you answer this. Do you think that Tiger breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
I don't think he does.
All right, this has been fun. Bye. Kidding.
Yeah, that's. I don't think he does. I think there's. I think there's different levels of competitive golf, and there's different. Obviously, he can ascend to anything he wants to do, but there's been a lot of things happen since 2009, 2008. It's a pretty big mountain to climb, and I mean, if he would do it, I guess saying this, if he would do it, I think it would be probably one of the greatest achievements in sport. I mean, it would blow, if he would win another major, I think it would blow the '86 Masters out of the water for what it would mean to golf and in golf history. I mean, when Nicklaus won that, I mean, that was a really big deal, especially for his age and kind of the cherry on top and everything. But I think if Tiger would win another major, I mean, I think that would be historically more significant than that '86 Masters. It'd be a big deal.
Well, the Masters will be here before we know it, and unless he plays before then, which it doesn't look like he will, he might play in December at the Hero Challenge, which is his tournament, but he will be back next year. And I actually said this week when he withdrew from the Safeway Open at Silverado that I was done with him for this year, and I am done. Like, even if he plays in the Hero, I'm done. I'm mad at you, Tiger. So sit in timeout until the Masters next year when you come back and win by 6. And your final question of your hashtag Wednesday match play is, what's next? I mean, you're back at TPC. You got a lot of stuff working and a lot of things in the kitchen, but what's next for Matt Henderson?
You know, I've traveled a lot in my career. I spent a lot of years kind of on the road and a lot of years trying to figure out, you know, where's the spot. And I you know, honestly, this is kind of the spot where I want to be for a while. What I really want to do, I love junior development. I want to build that collegiate program. That's my project right now. I want to see how big we can get that and how many kids we can get to the next level. And I just want to hang my hat at TPC Las Vegas. That's kind of where we've kind of come to. And that's not just, you know, that's also kind of a family decision. It's a personal decision. You know, this is the kind of the spot. So, but that's the program and that's the goal. And then, you know, career-wise, it's seeing how far we can go with it, I guess.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to be excited to sit back and watch. And again, the next time I'm in Vegas, we're finishing that 18-hole round at TPC Las Vegas. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. This has been fantastic. As I said earlier, this will get shared to Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and you name it. We'll make sure we get all the eyeballs possible on this. I'm going to text Brandon as soon as we're done here to ask if he tuned in. We have a bunch of live viewers right now, so I'm sure that he is one of them. But Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. And as always, on the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, is that you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.